Today we're celebrating Valentine's Day by talking about love in the afterlife. My forever Valentine, the love of my life, my husband Joe, will be joining me in studio to talk about love after death. At the end of my book, Love Can't Tell Time, I talked to a client who missed her soulmate. She told me, I was lucky enough to have spent my life with my one true love. We had passion, we had it all. And that will get me through the rest of my life until I see him again. I don't want to meet anyone else. I've had more love and happiness than I deserve. No, my memories will get me through. He's the only one for me. There was a palpable contentment inside of her. She was at peace knowing he was waiting for her. I found that more rare than I normally see. We all hope for that once-in-a-lifetime, never-ending love that makes our soul come alive. True love feels like coming home, and for the first time in your life, feeling like you're exactly where you belong. For those of you who've already found your forever love, I'm so happy for you. And for those of you who are still looking, keep looking. They're worth waiting for, and they're out there looking for you too. So don't leave them hanging. So this is a shout out to take a chance in life, because if you don't, that's when you have regret. If you want to leave me a message that might be shared on a future episode of The Dead Life and my Love Me Not segment, leave it at 802-DEAD-811. That's 802-332-3811. You can follow me on Instagram at Medium Allison, on my Facebook fan page, and you can binge on my YouTube videos. Don't forget to like and follow. You can watch readings, including episodes of The Dead Life. If you have abilities of your own and are looking to expand them and connect with other gifted people, go to deaduniversity.com. Well, Joe, welcome back.
Well, thanks. I love doing these Valentine's Day.
Today's been a bit of a rush, so sorry if I seem a little fast forward. A lot of time crunches going on today.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of things.
Yeah. And so anyways, I wanted to talk about love after death because a lot of people are missing the person they did find in love in life. And it's hard for them getting through these holidays. Many of them got married on Valentine's Day. So it's especially difficult and compounded for them to navigate it, watching all the young, happy people run around on their first date. Although I love seeing people on their first date, and you can always tell when they're on their first date. Mm-hmm. So they all seem a little nervous. They tried a little harder. They dressed up a little bit more, and those guys will get a second date. But the ones that don't, we don't notice anyways. So what do you think about holding on to love after death?
Wow, that's just a pretty straightforward, just punched me right away. What do you think about love after death? That's a tough one because you've brought back, you'll talk about past lives, right? So if you have past lives, then what does that mean? I am most certain we've lived in lives together before. But at other times, I don't know that we were married.
Sure.
But I know that we're definitely connected. And in this life, I think even before we got here, we chose and decided that this life was going to be what it is.
I definitely believe I was made for you. As you pointed out, you were here first, so I had to be made for you, not you for me. So
Well, you have to be technically correct if you're going to say it. But so yes, I absolutely, I think we're fated for each other, but not even fated, like we chose it. And in the afterlife, absolutely, we'll be together. But what does that mean if I know you're not coming back again.
Oh, no.
You've finished what you've
This rodeo was, this was enough. Like
you have squeezed every bit of goodness and
I've done everything I want to do. I got to marry the love of my life so early in life, as our youngest daughter always points out. Well, you met Dad when you were 20. It's like, yeah, okay, sorry.
So yeah, I could turn that, I guess, around in a way because you have the connection with the other side. People on the other side don't fall in love. They're already in love. They maintain the love they had.
Well, I think the people that didn't find that love, only the ones that actually want it will come back to find it. I think there's some people that that wasn't the priority for them, or they found love through having a child that emotionally fulfilled them, or sometimes it's even a pet where they were content with the pets they had through life. Not everybody has that romantic tinge of needing to, that tugging at you, that primal pull where you need to find that person. And you're here for that. But I think there's some people that aren't, and that's okay. They don't have to come back for it. And I think that a lot of people who found it and are on the other side are in no hurry to leave the other side once they're reunited. They already found their heaven on earth, which is now their heaven. They get to be around everybody they love. So why would you leave to come back? I think there are some people that got married, but it wasn't the love of their life necessarily. There was something unfulfilled that they'll come back for in another life. I believe a lot of people can get married and have a fine life and have children and live a nice life, but not necessarily have the passion that the woman talked about at the end of my book, who spoke so contently about being fine to wait for her husband until she saw him again. That kind of contentment, as I said, I find rare in people. We ache so much to be with that other person on the other side. Some people don't have that contentment inside of them, or there was unfinished business where they didn't get to do all the things and make all the memories they wanted to because that person died younger. They didn't have the time that they needed. So
yeah, I think you find love in life and you take it with you when you pass. I think that's how that works.
I mean, my point of asking that, what do you think about holding on to love after death, is, do you think it's natural to do that? Do you think it's just natural to hold on to that love once you find it? Do you think some people don't need to hold on to the love? I've seen all the variations bringing people through.
I think you're more the expert, but I think, as we talk about it, I think you find love and yeah, you keep that love, because you've talked about a lot of people that are on the other side and they still love the person that's here, and they come back, and that's why they come back and have the messages. So
because their heaven isn't complete without
their heaven
them.
isn't complete. Right. So yeah, I think that's how that works.
I even see people go back to somebody they knew in high school that was what turned out to be the love of their life, but they were too young to realize it at the time, and they moved through so quickly through life that they realized too late in life that was the one, that was it. So I'll see them cross and go back to that person who has unfinished business with them as well. The woman at the end of my book, Love Can't Tell Time, I found her rare in that not only did she find that person, it sounded like they did everything they wanted to do. He said everything he needed to say to her. They appreciated and shared, and passion was the word she used. So the chemistry was clearly there. And I believe she ran a gold medal Olympics in life with him. And once you have achieved sort of your own personal perfection, I don't see a reason to come back. That's my take. That's what I see.
Makes sense, yeah.
So you've witnessed me bringing through many spouses over the years who had a strong soul connection. When I bring people through, especially when I would do the events, which I did for 18 years and you saw many of, can you feel the difference between readings? Do you see some soul connections of when I bring somebody through, like a husband or a wife or a boyfriend or girlfriend, the reaction of the living person can vary, but do you see differences in sort of, I don't want to say levels of love so much, but intensity?
Intensity, that's a great word for it. Yeah, absolutely. You can see the living people react differently, but even the people who you're bringing through, you'll see some have stronger emotions, or some have a caretaking emotion, and maybe they were really good friends, but it wasn't that love, that chemistry. People, people are people. From the readings I've seen you do, the people come through are still people. They act, like the best version of themselves, but they're still.
Well, we drop all of the chips on our shoulder and the wounds that we collected through life. So everything that's left is what was there to begin with before we became jaded.
Sure. And as much as love is, I mean, there is a chemistry with certain passions and relationships. I don't think it's a biological thing. I think it's a spiritual thing. So that's why you can take it over.
I think it's also mental. It's sort of interesting because you could argue chemistry in that a natural attraction.
Sure.
But for me, with you, it was when we started laughing at each other's jokes that nobody, I know, that nobody thought was funny.
Yeah.
And we felt like we were in our own little Joe and Allison world. And to me, it was the humor, which I consider part of a mental level. Just the intelligence that you sprinkle in on your jokes that some people don't even know you're being sarcastic when you say it, I think is hilarious. And not everybody would find that funny. And then you find the things I say funny that
crack me up.
A lot of people do think are funny, but some people are offended by. So it's about finding that person that shares your twisted sense of humor and can meet you on an intellectual level. And then to have the physical attraction and chemistry sprinkled on top of it is a winning combo, I'd have to say. So in my readings, the reason I asked you that is because when I do readings, I can feel the difference in the intensity of people who I'm bringing through for the loved one. And there's just a contentment on the man or the woman's face as though their soul recognizes that their other half is there in the room talking to them. And there's a smile on their face. And I'm not saying that the people that are in pain are less on the levels of love and intensity. I think it's how people choose to look at it. A lot of it has to do with perspective. And for the people who realize that they really truly know that they're going to be with that person again, that they're going to be with their great love, there's a contentment, and they move through their grief more easily because they didn't have regrets in life with that person. They said and did everything that they wanted to do. And some of the things that I do in this lifetime also, like our daughters, I still get them heart-shaped chocolates for Valentine's Day because I want them to always remember that they're loved and special. So these little things that sometimes we don't think ahead of time, the thoughtfulness and taking the time to do it, I make sure I do. So I think I've learned a lot from the dead. I won't have that regret because I did consistently let them know they're loved. And it doesn't mean they won't cry or hurt and miss me and miss you, but there will be a sense of us knowing that we touched them on a soul level, that our children know that we love them. And the same for you. I do stupid things sometimes and come up with harebrained ideas of ways to make you feel special. And you're like, yeah, don't do that. But for me, it's about making sure while we're here.
Yeah. You're very worried about that in a way. Like you really go above and beyond. But let rest assured, we know.
Yeah.
We know.
Okay. Okay, good. It's important to me to do that. And when I'm on the other side, I don't have to feel as though I woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's done. So there's a big satisfaction for me going through life that way. Also, speaking your mind, saying what you mean when you mean it. And I think that's important as well. And it's another thing I love about you. You have that same, you're a little bit more soft than I am with your words. You tend to be a little bit more nice than I am. So I see you as a softer version of me that's much taller and bigger.
Yes. I am bigger, taller, and softer.
Yes. So I find it really adorable when the spirit I'm bringing through flirts with my client and they laugh together. It's like they have their own inside jokes And sometimes they'll share those jokes with me that I'll then share with my client, and then they continue laughing. But I see the point of connection for the two of them when the laughter starts and the jokes start rolling and the memories start rolling and the back and forth happens. That means connection's been made. And I think that's where I'm a little different than some mediums. And I was talking to my students about this yesterday on our Zoom call. And I don't just see it my job to bring the person through and give them messages. I see that as part of my job. The other part is the 6th step of grief, which I've coined as reconnection. Once they are connected and I'm ready to disconnect from the reading, I say I'm going to break my connection with them and send them with you. Now you're on the same energy page. When you go to sleep tonight, put a picture up of them at the age that they gave in the reading, the age they reverted to, their heaven on earth. Don't think about the end of their life. You can't think about the sadness. That's the wall that keeps them from communicating with you directly, which we spent all that time trying to take down and lower. And then I just say, have a smile on your face, thinking of all the happiest moments in your life together, and tell them you're ready for a visit and go to sleep. And the more you do that, the easier it is to connect. The more pain there is to remove, the harder it is for them to come through, and they have to work through third parties. So when I see the flirtation taking place and I see that pain disappear for moments for the living person, where all of a sudden they're back together again, they're in that same space together, it's very, not just healing, but I enjoy seeing them be who they were before that person died. It's very special.
When I call people to schedule them, and Sophia is now, but I often tell people that readings are very emotional.
Yeah.
And it's okay to cry, but it's also okay to laugh. It's all the emotions. And I think when you get to that part where you can then laugh and you have the reconnection, that's when the readings become really great, because they've opened up.
The laughter actually raises their frequency, and readings roll better once they've shifted their energy and they're on a higher frequency. It's great, actually. So I just find it very personal, the flirtation in readings. And sometimes, depending on the information coming through, I feel like a bit of a voyeur. Feels a little strange for me, but I have to take myself out of the equation and remember I'm just a secretary and keep doing my job. But sometimes they get a little too playful, if you know what I mean. So I know that we've talked to our friend Stephen Simon, who produced one of my very favorite movies, Somewhere in Time. And he created his heaven with his wife before she died. They talked about what it would be like. For me, I could open our photo albums with our children, and that's going to be it. Like that's what I want. I want those moments all back. So, do you think it's a good idea for couples to create their heaven before one of them dies, so that the other one has an idea of what their loved one's doing, so they can look at the pictures and sort of move along with them as time goes by, knowing that those are the memories they're reliving? Do you think that helps them to grieve?
Yeah, I thought Simon, I mean, when he shared that Stephen Simon, that was such a, I don't know, to me, it really opened up a great idea. It's like, yeah, in our life, we can talk about, what is our heaven going to be? And we do. We talk about the memories we've had. Maybe it was a vacation with the kids to somewhere. And so you have that heaven. And then when the person that's left is alive, and they can think about that and not worry that the person who's passed isn't, they know what's going on. And that's great. But also, I think there's another side to that. If you sit down with your loved one, or at least who you think's your loved one, and you can't make that heaven, right? Well, then maybe you got to think about what's your relationship. Like, work on the relationship now, like, so that you have those I mean, because our heaven is always times that we've had. There's these experiences that I could name a dozen of them. And we do. We sit around sometimes and we'll remember them, reminisce.
Right.
And if you can't, it's like, well, then get out there and start making
Start living.
Yeah, have some of those memories.
It's really what the dead, why they're so interested with the living. We have all of these chaotic, beautiful opportunities that many of us fail to live and enjoy. And I just want to be clear so people understand, if there's somebody you know that didn't create a heaven, like with a loved one, if they didn't get to live a life with a spouse or have children, they can walk around and they have their horses or their pets, their parents, their siblings. They can go back to their childhood and relive a time that they feel was better. You could walk around and look at perfect waterfalls all day and rainbows and interact with other people that's their heaven too. So for some people, that'll be a version of their heaven.
You had one guy come through. He was at a concert.
I did.
And that was
awesome. He
was
was 16. Yeah.
Rock on.
He said he was with people like him that understood him. And I thought that was actually very unusual to not show themselves with family, but rather with people they could relate to. But it made sense at the same time. So that was very cool. So it's whatever we vibe with, whatever makes our heart feel light, whatever makes us feel not alone, that's heaven. Like those are moments we have now that people take for granted. And we have to stop doing that. This is the magic. And I know a lot of it's ugly in the world, and that's part of life too. But you have to look beyond that and see the real lesson here and why we're here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it doesn't mean that you have to fly first class in order to enjoy that trip to Paris or to check that item off your bucket list. That's you being a roadblock for yourself. If you're saving because you have to go first class, it's like, no, the whole idea is that you wanted to go to Paris and learn to make chocolate croissants and eat delicious food and wear a beret and carry around baguettes and, live those experiences. And if you make it something other than that, where it's all about the money, you're missing the point. Nobody ever comes through and says anything about the money. I've just never had that happen unless it has to do with something they saw where they left money and somebody took something they weren't entitled to in the family. They will sometimes comment on that because they see it.
Right.
So will you wait for me if you go first?
Of course.
You have to say that.
Well, but you gave me these questions beforehand, so it wasn't a surprise.
I didn't want to be unfair or a cruel wife.
But I can't, when I go to the university to work or to be a student, I think about, I worry about you. I want to make sure your things are good for you. And so if I was somewhere else, but we've vowed we're going to die on the same day. So this is a non-question.
That's going to be a
trick.
A heavy load for our daughters too.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
although I'd say that like in the genetic lottery, all of your grandmothers have lived into their mid-90s.
Yeah.
So.
And one drank a boatload of Tecate.
Yes.
And ate Mexican food her whole life. And the other one never drank.
No.
And she ate like a bird.
And they both
died at the same time.
So yeah, I think statistically the odds are in your favor.
Yeah. Oh, may the odds be ever in your favor. Time is so valuable, we can't get it back once it's spent. Do you think most people understand that time can be cut short? Or do they think limited time only applies to others?
I think people, I think this is a lesson everybody should learn. to quote someone recently, I think there's about 1 billion people that don't get this. No, I think probably more, probably like 7 billion. Like this is the big lesson.
Yeah.
And even, and I know it, I see it, and over the years that you've been doing this, it's become a part of me. But at the same time, I forget it even daily. It's like, yeah, time could be cut short. So live what you got and make sure that the loved ones know. Like,
and I think it's no different than, I just think it's human for our brains to adjust and make it somebody else, that it'll be somebody else, not you. When I worked missing persons cases, and especially initiating the Amber Alert for missing children, it seemed that parents felt like it happened to other people's children, not to theirs. And that was one of the first things they always say when their child went missing. I thought it happened to other people's kids. It's like, well, those kids matter too. So maybe under those theories, if we collectively all care and just hedge our bets, maybe we'll all fare better together. So I think if everybody just decided to live like they weren't going to live to be 80 or 90 years old, and you started living for the 45 you might have, life would be lived differently and better. And I don't mean being more dangerous in life because, well, I'm going to die anyways. Might as well go out with my hair on fire, like just take more chances than you normally would have.
And not forsaking, like, you still have to go to your job and make a living to pay so you have running water, things like that.
You got to find a balance.
Yeah, you got to find a balance.
So if people maybe made a list of things they want to do while they're on this playground called Earth, and they just checked off 1 or 2 things a year. And they don't even have to be big things. We've gone through this too before. We've gone over this.
Right.
It doesn't have to be jumping out of an airplane or doing something that you have, like even swimming in the Amazon River.
I've done that.
I know you have. But it doesn't even have to be those big things. You can make them small if you're on a budget. Smaller things. I came up with, and it's funny because most of my things were actually not expensive to do. I wanted to eat chicken wings where chicken wings were invented. So I had an event in Buffalo, New York, and we went there and we had buffalo wings in the restaurant that created them.
Well, and we wanted to take a trip.
That made me happy.
That made me happy too. That was awesome. We wanted to take a trip around the world, but it wasn't exactly in our budget or our time.
Wasn't in our time.
And so we just picked out a restaurant from the countries we wanted to visit in our city in Phoenix, and we would just go to a different one each week.
Well, we'd go on the weekend and we'd have drinks during the day. Well, it was daytime, just like we're in some other country alone in a restaurant having a drink.
So yeah, you can be creative, but still have the experience.
Yeah, that's why another reason I stopped touring. So we can actually take some of those trips that we wanted to take. Absolutely. And the Bahamas was the first one we took for our anniversary. So that was kind of nice.
That was very nice. That's part of our heaven.
Yes.
Without the sunburn.
Minus the sunburn. Yeah, that won't exist in our heaven.
But we'll sit on that float in the ocean.
That was awesome. The little disc. I loved it. Yeah. We went to Sandals. I'd say love the accommodations. That part was awesome. Anybody that's a foodie, as clearly I am, because I've traveled around the world just to eat things in the places that they created them. I've had the Waldorf salad at the Waldorf Astoria in New York City. I've done a lot of things food oriented. The food was not great. I will say that. The food wasn't great.
I thought I liked the food.
The French restaurant was good.
Right. You ordered like a lot of, room service. So it's only going to be what it is. No, I think I'm being fair. I think a lot of places, and I think we're spoiled. We live in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have food from all over because people can't stand staying in their own cities and they have to come here. So they bring the food. Yeah. So we have food from all over, which is nice. Yeah, we are spoiled.
But I'd still go back.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was great. So, and it was strangely affordable. So, and I'm not plugging for sandals like I'm doing a commercial. I'm just saying when you watch those commercials and think, gosh, I'd like to go there. The beach really was like that when we were there. It was pretty nice. I definitely go back to the Bahamas. It was very cool.
But if Sandals wanted to throw us a few nights, I would.
Yeah, we'd go back and I'd help them in the kitchen so that they can get their recipes just on point. I figured out a long time ago, if you're not happy with the way something's made, figure out how to make it better.
Well, that's what's disappointing is that you actually are very good at cooking. And so if I go somewhere and I order what I think is going to be the way you make it and it's not, well, then I'm just disappointed.
Mm-hmm. Well, so I guess the point we're taking for Valentine's Day here is from this question is live like you have limited time. Live like you have limited time. I could look at my grandmothers and say, well, I'll be 93 or 94 when I die too then. So like
Isn't that a country song? Live like you're dying?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
we know that. That's a good song. Where was I?
Oh, you were talking about your grandma.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's why you need earth in your chart. You have too much air. You get off track.
No such thing.
So I could live as though I was going to be 93 or 94 as my grandmothers lived to be, but I'm not going to live like that because then people squander their days, assuming they have tons left.
Well, and it might
not
not
the
even,
same.
like you mentioned before, it might not even be you. It could be your loved ones aren't there. And so maybe you're still alive,
true.
But you don't have.
Take trips with family while everybody's still there because the older generations and sometimes some of the younger ones that you don't expect to go won't be in that next family photo. So that is so important. Even if it's a camping trip, a little trip.
You would never go. I would go on a camping trip.
I would never go camping, but they do have some of those treehouse camping.
Oh yeah, we need to do that, or like a yurt or something.
I do that as long as
they fancy tents.
With
the bed.
Or we're in Arizona. They have those teepee houses.
I think it's called a yurt. Is it a teepee?
Is it?
Okay, yeah.
No, they have some out here that look like teepees, but they're concrete or something. Like they're real structures,
right?
But they look like teepees, and I kind of want to go.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
All right, I'm marking it down. It's on our bucket list.
Okay, and I want to go zip lining.
I think you can. I think that's a package deal.
Major zip lining. I've done zip lining, but I want to do like real zip lining over something awesome. You know what I mean?
Can we go to the Grand Canyon and walk over that glass bridge too? Then
no, that I will not do.
Your limit.
I have earth in my chart, and I like my feet on the ground, except when I'm on a zip line. So, what's your favorite romantic movie?
All right, I can't believe that you have to know this.
I would have thought it's something like Armageddon or something, honestly.
Well, that is pretty romantic, but
it had rockets and space travel, so I just could only assume it would have that involved.
You know, and it did have a lot of emotion. I hadn't thought of that one. That is a good one. But I was thinking of Always. It has airplanes.
Oh.
But it also has a great love story.
Okay. That is I do love that one.
Yeah.
Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. Yeah. Holly Hunter.
Richard
John
Dreyfuss.
Goodman.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one. No, that makes sense.
That's actually one of my favorite. If you want to say a romantic movie, that would be my favorite one.
I think people should binge champagne and romantic movies all of Valentine's Day. I don't care if I didn't have a partner, I would take the day off just to watch those movies, drink champagne, and order food in my pajamas. I would just live it up.
Right.
Live it up.
Now, depending on how you view Humphrey Bogart, Casablanca would be a romantic movie, and I think because it's an older movie, people forget about it.
Yeah,
but that's a top-notch movie in my eyes. I mean, I don't know. You probably see it differently. But.
I have a side that for my movies, anyways, which are going to vastly vary from yours. They're going to be different. I have a deep side, which in that column I would put Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour.
Right here.
I knew you'd know.
Mine?
I know you'd know that.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Time and The Notebook. I don't care what people say. It's beautiful. Such passion. Love it.
Well, just because everybody loves it doesn't mean it's not great.
Right.
Right. I mean,
I know it's true. But then I've got this column.
That is a good one.
Right?
I like that one. Yeah.
But then there's even this column of where they're not deep movies, but you get a tear when you're watching it at some point. Even 17 Again with Zac Efron. When I watched it and he's in the courtroom and he's reading that letter to her, and then she realizes it was just a blank piece of paper and he was speaking from the heart. I was like, oh my God. So I loved that one. And God, there's so many good rom-coms out there. 17 Dresses. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. 27 Dresses.
27 Dresses. I'm like, the number doesn't sound right. 27
like
Dresses.
17 Again and then 27 Dresses.
Thank you. 27 Dresses, all these numbers. You know, I'm not good with numbers.
Something's Gotta Give. You like that one a lot.
I love Something's Got It's Complicated.
It's complicated. Both
No,
of those.
I love both of those.
Both of those.
So, I mean, there's the lighter side there too. And I love all of those. So on Valentine's Day, whether you have a special someone or not.
Oh, and then Valentine's Day. You got to watch that movie.
Oh, yeah. Gary Marshall.
Yeah, Gary Marshall.
Our friend. Yeah. Okay. Well, Joe, I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you for being my forever Valentine. And thank you to my listeners. Tune in next Tuesday for a fresh episode of The Dead Life. Happy Valentine's Day to all of you, one and all. I wish it was like Christmas where there was some heart-shaped singing telegram that ran around and just sang songs to us and delivered gifts.
You've sent that to me already.
I know. It's just wishful thinking. So happy Valentine's Day to all of you, and to all of my believers out there, don't stop believing.
Join us next week on The Dead Life, and don't forget to subscribe now to get every episode sent straight to your phone.